Hey everyone, new video today. This one's actually been on my list for a long time. I just haven't got around to doing it. This one's kind of interesting. It's about knives, but maybe not the knives you're thinking about. So, I've always liked knives, but what are the knives that you really use every day? You know, right? Well, it's the cooking knives, right? The chef's knives that most people have in their house. Okay? So I'm going to show you the ones that I have in my house today and talk to you about the different setup and how it's interesting how they market and sell these knives. When you're selling a chef's knife, basically the marketing is focused on how fast it cuts, how easy it is to clean, how comfortable it is to use over a long period of time. Does it fit your hand well? I mean, these are targeted towards men and women. More so, it's more balanced in my opinion than what marketing of a Spyderco or a Benjamin made knife is. For example, they're targeted more towards a male audience. So the marketing is more balanced with kitchen tools, and so they don't talk about the steel, the edge, the materials, right? There's no titanium chef knives that I've seen, handles or anything like that. I know Chris Reeves makes some, but I'm going to leave those out. Not that they're bad or anything, but that's a different breed. That's for a knife enthusiast that wants to buy some fancy chef's knives. I'm not sure they're necessarily any better or would hold up better than anything else out there. So I'm going to leave those out of this discussion and focus on just a couple brands that I've had over the years. So the theory was we need a chef's knife, and I don't have a ton of money. I have a little bit of money to spend, but I don't have a ton. So I want to go mid-range, mid to low range on the chef's knives. This is the first set I bought basically. And this was a big, I don't have my ruler. Well, yeah, look at that, folks. I have the ruler with me. About an 8-inch blade. And it's the traditional chef knife. This kind of normal hand, the heavy weighted blade, you just kind of chop, chop, chop. And so this one, I'm not going to be able to tell you any of the steels, but this one is from the J. Hinkles something or other, but Hinkles is the name, and they're so basically made in Germany. And this particular company has a number of different lines. Of course, there's a high-end line, mid-range, low-end. I don't remember if these were the mid-range or the complete low-end. I don't think they would have been the complete low-end ones at the time, but either way, this particular one kind of sucks. It's extremely hard to sharpen. It gets a lot of cracks in the blade easily. Dents, chinks, or what do you call that? Chips in the blade. And it's not been a very good knife. So for the mid-range of this brand, Hinkles, or low end, I would say stay away from it. My experience has been not fun. It doesn't chop or cut very well. It certainly doesn't slice, and very hard to sharpen and hard to maintain. So actually I've kind of hated this knife. Bought a whole set of this particular style, and probably the only one that's good in there are the serrated edges knives. They're good for bread, some small vegetables, those types of things, but the serrated ones are okay. You can actually use the Spyderco Sharp Maker on the serrated blades, and it works very well. Now, so the theory went, these ones were mid-range, they kind of sucked, so maybe we should go upscale, up it a little bit, and I ended up with this one, the Global Knives set of knives. This is the traditional, actually this is not quite the traditional chef's knives. There's different name for, what's the name, Sayako or something like that. But anyways, it's close to the Hinkles one. And this one is way better. you know, you talk about ergonomics. This one is real comfortable. It's metal all over. There's no plastic, no G10, and it's all the same cut of steel. And it's balanced. It's more balanced than the other ones. It's not necessarily extremely blade heavy, so you're gonna have a little bit more difficult time chopping with it. But overall, this is more easy to use, and the blade sharpens very easy. You can use the kind of the steel rod to sharpen these knives. You can use a flat stone, and you can also use the sharp maker. The sharp maker's actually been pretty good on these. You can see the indentations here to make sure that whatever you're cutting kind of falls off easily, usually vegetables or whatever. And so this one, it's the Global series of knives, and they actually do mark the steel on it. It's Chromova 18 stainless steel. So I don't know if you can see that or not. I'll keep it still for a little bit. Chromova 18 stainless steel, and some kind of marking G48 Yoshinkan, Japan, made in Japan. Most of these kitchen knives are either made in Japan or Germany. So this one has been very good. This one, so overall very good. I would say that what I've always read is that chef knives, if you really use them, kitchen knives often and frequently, rather than trying to resharpen them constantly and just pick a time period, whatever, a year, just throw them out and buy new ones. I've read that several times. I'm not there yet. I'll do my best to sharpen them, but if you look at this particular one, I don't know if I'm going to be able to focus, but the tip is gone basically. There used to be more of a refined tip on this one, and it's gone. I've used a kind of a flat stone to make it a little bit more even. Any type of chef knives, especially ones that cut well, they're going to take a beating in the kitchen, right? You're going to hit bones accidentally. You're going to hit hard pieces, whatever, and the blade will always get chips in it, dents. And those are real hard to get out with the sharp maker or anything else. And either way, they take a long time. I'm sure you can get some $300 sharpeners or machines and go to it and get it done. But for the normal person, just expect your chef knives to get beaten up. These ones I can sharpen up okay. They're hard to get the chips and the blade out. Doesn't chip that easily, but just over the constant chopping and slicing, that's what happens with these things. So then the theory went, all right, so this one, if I recall, was around $80 or $90. So it's kind of funny, right? I mean, thinking about that, oh, that's a lot of money for a knife, Meanwhile, I'm rolling around with the $500 Sabenza. But anyways, $80 for this single blade it still is to me. It's expensive, So the thought went, all right, if you're gonna throw them out all the time, if you really should replace them once a year, let's just get a cheaper one, and and see how that goes. So got this one, like the sheep's foot style blade there. So it's basically the same style, basically the same length as the Global, way different quality. This one was about $24 to $35, and people always blast me how I say this, but Victorinox, it's a Swiss Army company basically, Victorinox. That's who makes this one. You can see the little Swiss emblem, and you can see that it has just more logos, Swiss made on here. And so differences on this one is that it's extremely light. It's more in the traditional style as this one. It's so light that the blade weighs nothing and the handle weighs nothing. I'm sure that the tang is not fully through it, and it's a small tang in that because it's extremely light. So that means you're not going to be able to chop very well with it. You're going to have to go like that. And the type of steel is not listed, but I will say out of the box it wasn't that sharp. After using it, it dulled pretty quickly, and it is taking a fast beating, and it's also hard to sharpen for some reason. Same techniques used on this knife to sharpen it, and it's kind of hard to sharpen. I actually have not had good luck sharpening it at all. So that kind of reevaluated things. Like, so do you buy the cheap ones and use them and throw them out and get a new one, or do you just stick with the more expensive ones? So what I ended up doing was buying, I don't have it with me, but I bought another one of these, and that seems to be the way to go. If you get, you know, I could not use this one anymore, but it's good enough for most things to some extent. So I have a newer one, a better tip, and it's sharper, etc. I think it's in the dishwasher now, folks. Sorry, I couldn't get it out. So that's the theory of kitchen knives. I would say I recommend the Global brand. Check into them. You can buy them all at your local stores and pay a lot more for it, but you can get them online too. So let me know if you have any questions.